that have left Yeshiva was just stellar, and so we wanted to do something this year. I don't think any of the panelists need any introduction, and if I would even start to introduce them, it would probably take the entire time, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to ask our esteemed Rebbeim a number of questions, and then we'll open up to the floor. Alex, are we recording? We're good? Excellent. Okay. So the first question is, when you were 18 years old, where were you? And did you ever imagine you'd be sitting here teaching Torah many years later?
When I was 18 years old, I never imagined that I would teach Torah. I had no idea where I would go, where I would be. There were certain things I knew that I wouldn't be. I knew I wouldn't be a doctor. I wouldn't be a lawyer. I wasn't interested in sitting in a classroom for the next 10 years and listening to a professor, with all due respect to professors, but that wasn't what I was interested in. I had a lot of friends. I tried to be friendly with everybody. Some of my friends were more serious than others, but no way did I ever expect myself to be teaching. And Baruch Hashem, I could say that I was open-minded. I was willing to entertain all possibilities, and I just little by little went with the way I felt that Hashem was leading me. But I gradually saw that I enjoyed learning, I enjoyed talking to people, I enjoyed teaching, and that's how I ended up. I remember a few examples, just two quick stories. One of them, when I was 18, 17, I remember those were at the time I thought that this is the best year of my life. You guys could imagine yourself, it's freedom, you're out of high school. High school people, some manage to coast through, but it's not something that you really enjoy. High school itself, maybe enjoy the social scene. So you have a certain freedom. I remember thinking, what could be better than this? When I was 17, when I was 18, I remember sitting with a group of friends after I spent my first year in Israel, and I wasn't completely into it, but remember we went to a pizza store, a falafel place, and the three friends that I was with, they didn't want a bench. They were ready to get up. And I pulled a bench out of my pocket, and I was thinking, should I bench or should I get, laughed at by them? And I remember I stood very strongly, and I benched anyway. I felt really good afterwards, and they didn't laugh at me, and I felt that was one of my turning points of being serious. And the other story, just another quick story, when I was 18, I was working in a furniture factory after my Shana Aleph. Also not sure, I knew I was going to come back Shana Bet, but it gave me a lot of time to think. And then I drove across country, well, not completely across, but in America, the U.S., we got as far as Oklahoma, to Texas. And on the way back, the friend that I was with fell asleep in the car, and I was driving, and I was thinking for a second, I was having such a good time in America, maybe I shouldn't come back Shana Bet. Suddenly, for the first time, I had a little hesitation. I shouldn't come back Shana Bet. I was constantly looking at the rear view mirror, and it was always clear I was speeding. And as I thought that, suddenly I hear the loudest honk coming from a truck that I don't know where he came from. It was like he almost swallowed me up as I was driving. He almost ran over me, totally engulfed me. And I remember after that happened, I said, I'm coming back Shana Bet, and I had no problem. And that's where I was when I was 18. I gotta go.
The Gemara teaches that La'olam Ya'asok Adam Be'umanut Avotha. A person should try, if possible, to pursue the particular profession of his particular family, of his father, his fathers, of his ancestry. So I was brought up in a rabbinic home. My father, of blessed memory, was a Rav. My mother was a Rebbitzin. And from the earliest points in our lives, my brothers and my sisters, we were always being told or trained that the way to serve Am Yisrael is to try to become a teacher, try to find a pathway to help others in Torah and mitzvot and maasim tovim. However, if somebody would have asked me at the age of 18, probably every possibility was open to me, with the exception of going into anything similar to what my father did in his life. If my father was a rabbi, so I surely don't want to. I surely don't want to be a rabbi. I surely want to be a rabbi. I knew a lot about rabbinic life. I lived it. I grew up with all of the ramifications of what it means to be a Rav of a Kehillah and a Rosh Yeshiva. And it was something that if somebody would tell me then that I would spend many, many years of my life trying to teach, I probably wouldn't believe them. However, there was a strong drive in me to follow in terms of studying Torah. There's a great rabbi in Gush, Hashem should bless him, his name is Rabbi Ryan, Rav Daniel Ryan. He once told me that when he started teaching, he was one of my great teachers. We taught together in BMT and Beit Midrash Torah. He told me that he wants to be the teacher that he never had. He wants to be the Rav, he wants to be the Rebbe that he never was privileged to be. I think I had a certain side of me that wanted that also. In other words, I was able to see certain levels that are missing in certain of my teachers. No one's perfect, but maybe as a critic, if I ever do pursue anything in this field, can I remember at least, can I be at least sensitive to the fact that I felt certain things as a student and maybe never take this to the level of my students. I'm sure I violated it at least hundreds of thousands of times, but at least that was something that was a deep conviction in my being. Eretz Yisrael was a great dream of mine, a great love of mine. At the age of 18, I thought many times of just moving to Eretz Yisrael. I didn't have the inner conviction to do it without being married. And I felt that my heart was there. I was just waiting for that great blessing, which God blessed me with years later, but I knew that without a wife I wouldn't be able to move to Israel. I'm not discouraging people, all the people here that are not yet married. You shouldn't follow what I did, but I'm saying you can come already now. You're all welcome to stay. You're already in Eretz Yisrael. It's even easier. So I think that at that particular point I was going through a crossroads in my life and pursuing, on the one hand, a conviction to try to do something with Klal Yisrael, at the same time maybe feeling that I would never end up doing what my father did in that particular way, and the rest is history.
My turn now. When Rabbi Allen asked me to speak, I thought I'd find a way to be where you are, but then I wanted to hear what these two angels have to say. So I'm a gorilla in the midst of two angels, Baruch Hashem. I think similar to what the Rav said, that I come from a family of educators and healers. So I didn't know how that will manifest. I didn't plan anything out. I just lived life, and you've had to make choices along the way, but I guess this is where my choices have led me. So when I was 18, if somebody asked, would I be sitting in an establishment as wondrous as this, surrounded by mamash tzaddikim, unbelievable people, it was definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility, yes.
Okay. So we all admire Torah wisdom, chesed, but something which I think all of us have noticed in all three of you is your tremendous simcha, your tremendous positive attitudes. What is the secret of your positive personalities, of your happiness, of your simcha?
We'll do the same order as we do.
First of all, I'm not always happy. I'm a regular person that has ups and downs. Maybe I do a good job at fooling people. Sometimes I fool myself. I think I'm happy. But I was just talking to one of the Talmidim 10 minutes ago, in the shiur, about a person could be depressed about a certain situation, and then 5 minutes later feel like he's on top of the world, where nothing really changed. The only thing that changed was inside him. Everything was the same. completely the same, just you look at things differently. A person has the ability to be in a situation and look at it from many different angles. The Gemara tells a story of one of the Amoraim that Lo Aleinu, he lost his daughter. And he didn't look so upset about it, so his wife said to him, "What? One of the chickens in the coop died? Like that's all it is?" So he said, "What? It's enough. I have to also be bereaved of my daughter, and also he didn't say be depressed, but that was his idea. It's enough that a person has troubles, but to be depressed about it also at the same time, to cry and to. So obviously there are things in life that we can't laugh at. There are very serious, difficult situations and challenges." But the way we look at things makes a big difference. And we also know that there's a very, very Jewish idea mentioned in many places, that the way a person behaves outside affects the way he feels inside as well. And one of the greatest cures for difficulties is to laugh, to chuckle, even if it's a fake laugh. Person puts on a good fake laugh, and suddenly you realize that you're happier than you really were a few minutes ago. And it gives a lot of koach, not to mention trying to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and realizing that Hashem loves us, everything He does for us is good, it's for our own good. And of course, the simcha of learning Torah. And sometimes even, as Rabbi Nachman said, a person sometimes has to even do silly things, stupid things, what might be stupid, but it has obviously not to make a chilul Hashem, but sometimes even laughing at silly things makes a big difference. It helps the person have simcha.
One of the things I learned many, many times from my great teacher, Rav Avigdor Miller, of blessed memory, was he was always teaching us to count one's blessings. This is a repetitive theme in all of his teachings. I heard it from him hundreds and hundreds of times. And as Rav Shamai, Shlita mentioned, I think a lot has to do with one's attitude. I think that a person can focus on the particular aspect of his or her life which is missing, and God forbid they could be very depressed over it. But in almost all human experience of almost every human being on earth, especially in Am Yisrael, but I think it's true of all people, there are so many myriads and myriads of blessings. There's so many things that are going right. There's so many things to enjoy. There's so many things to celebrate. You want to look at what's missing? You're welcome to do that. And then you'll always be depressed, God forbid. Or do you want to say, you take out a piece of paper. How many things are going right in your life at this moment? How many functions, how many systems are your being in your own body? How many things are working? Most people don't even feel their internal organs at this moment. Most people don't even know their heart is functioning, or the kidneys are working, nothing. It's just automatic systems. Or how many times do they think? We tried to do this through certain kinds of levels of barachot, of recognition, of reciting blessings, thanking God for all of the different systems in our body. But most people, it's like almost an automatic recital. But can we celebrate? Do we celebrate? Celebrate good health. Now, Rav Miller often taught us, I don't think it's for everybody, that sometimes the only way to do this is, God forbid, through contrast. That sometimes if a person sees someone who is lacking in a certain area, the first thing to do, of course, is to pray for them. But sometimes, I know it sounds a bit crude and insensitive, but there are surely many people who walk away from seeing no pun intended, but seeing a person who's sightless. You know, I often try to study at the Yeshivat Merkaz Harab's library in Yerushalayim, Merkaz Harav Kook. It's around the corner from the largest Jewish institute for the blind in the world, Beit Chinuch Ivrin. And there are many, many people in the street who are walking with seeing-eye dogs, or walking with these special canes. You can't see that, you can't experience that without celebrating the fact that you have eyes, that your eyes are functioning. Of course you have to pray for that person. Of course you have to feel the pain of that person. Of course you have to hope that today there'll be a breakthrough and by tomorrow he won't need a guide to walk with him. But you can enjoy sometimes. And this is one of the explanations that certain people give for the existence of that which we call evil in the world. Why is there suffering in the world? Why are there imperfections in the world? One of the many explanations, which is very, very complicated philosophically to discuss, is that it's only through contrast that we can enjoy something. So maybe if everybody, Bezrat Hashem, I hope starting right now, everybody in the world will be perfectly happy and perfectly healthy. I hope we're already there. We're already there at the point where we can enjoy all the systems. But in every system that's going perfectly correct and well in your life, there's someone in the world who doesn't have that yet. And maybe sometimes by thinking about what could be and counting your particular blessings, I think that's supposed to be a special level of joy. We tend, I believe I shared the story about this professor in psychology who walked into his class and gave out 25 pieces of paper, asked them not to speak, and said, just write down what you see. And he takes out a marker, he draws a little circle on the board. A black marker, a little circle on the board. He says, okay, now write what you see. 25, I think, out of 25 wrote, we see a black dot on the board. And he said, that's the downfall of the whole world. That's the downfall of society. Yeah, there's a black dot on the board. The whole board is white. Nobody wrote that they see a white board. Everybody wrote they only see the black dot. I think if you focus on the black dot, God forbid that's a pathway to sadness. Focus about all the white in your life. Bezrat Hashem, there should be no black dots. There should be all white. Bezrat Hashem shall be only happy. But even temporarily, if there's something that's bothering you, count the blessings and look at the positive. That could be a formula for happiness.
So, as Rav Shamai and Rav Machlis said, there's not much more to add. But,
So next time you'll speak first.
I'm not going to speak first. I'm not going to speak first now. I will add something. There's not much to add, but there is something. Amen. So I think that being besimcha is not something you can compartmentalize. It's not just one nakuda. It's a totality of how you look at life. It's an attitude, like Rav Machlis said, and Rav Shamai said as well. There needs to be fun. You need to live with fun. There's the Pilsner Rav once mentioned there's 3 things that are needed in life to be healthy. Really, there are many things, but he said there are 3 elements that we should place our focus upon. He says, first of all, we have to live with responsibilities. We have responsibilities in life, paying the rent, looking after the family, college, studying, whatever it may be. There's responsibilities that we need to turn up to. A minyan 3 times a day, having a set seder for learning. However, if we just live with that, then life is incomplete. He said as well, we have to have good, healthy relationships. To give love and to receive love. To give love and to receive love. That we should have good friends around us. That we can have that interplay where we could find ourselves in relationship, intimacy, to have people we can speak to and share with. And Rabbi Singer said as well, that wouldn't be enough. We have to have the responsibility, we have to have the relationships, but as well we have to do things that are fun. We have to have oineg, and that's very much relating, as Rabbi Nachman says, as Rav Shamai says. Rabbi Nachman says you have to learn to pick yourself up, enjoy life. By the Ropshitzer, Rav Naftali Tzvi of Ropshitz, who we're descendants of. So I was infected a little bit with his genes. He was a jokester, always joking and poking fun in a good way, a lively way, a light way, to change the mood, make a good mood. And that's something very, very important. And as well, I very much grew up in a house of gratitude, like Rav Machlis said, to grow up in, Yehudi is hodaya, to be thankful. To be thankful. If you live a life of gratitude, that space is full of light. There's not much room for darkness. You recognize, you count your blessings, and you live life and you have fun. It's something very important. There is, though, I remember I spoke to my grandfather about happiness once, and he said something very interesting. He said it's to live in the present moment, but with hope. It's to see the end of time now. You know that everything is always going to work out. So then I said, what about death? So that's life working out. Everything always works out. Everything is always the way it's meant to be. And he said to me, he always said to me, that we choose how we perceive. We choose how we perceive. And he said, live in the present moment with the end of time in mind. Live in the present moment with knowing everything always works out, and the way we are with that attitude is infectious for other people. The children see a person living with hope. and gratitude and fun. They want to have some of that as well. So again, hope, the fun, the gratitude, Ezras Hashem helps us.
In the last 50 years, there's been a tremendous proliferation of technological advances. Rav Machlis, you spoke the other day in Shir, you quoted the Chafetz Chaim that all advances in technology were meant to teach us something spiritual. If each one of you could share a thought about technology and how we can use it or how we can learn from it.
Switch the order.
If we're talking about the same shiur, this is what I said. But that means that some people will hear it twice, and it can be very boring. What? Is it okay if I repeat what I said?
Yeah.
I said that I think that the Waze navigation system has helped me understand a lot about God, and has helped me understand rabbinic teachings, and I think has opened my eyes to a new dimension in the service of Hashem. And the particular quotation that I gave as an example, this doesn't mean that that's the purpose of Waze. Waze was created here, it was invented here in Israel, so it's an international system. I think it was designed and developed in Israel because I think that's the function of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are supposed to help people get to where they're trying to go. Not necessarily from place A to place B, geographically necessarily, but that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be we just read last Shabbat, Atem Tiyuli Mamlechet Kohanim. They're supposed to be the leaders of the world. So everybody's looking, what should I do? How am I supposed to go? So we develop Waze. Waze is one concept. In a physical world, the Waze represents the spiritual world. We're supposed to be the guides. We're supposed to be the Or La'amim. We're supposed to be the Or La'goyim. And people should have a spiritual navigation system and type in what they're trying to do in life. And the Jewish people developed in Eretz Yisrael, Bezrat Hashem, through your great advancements, will have this spiritual level of Waze direction. But what I said in class was that there's a teaching in Chazal which has bothered me for a long time. I just never understood it. It says in the Parashat Shofatim, when consulting with the great leaders and the great sages and the heads of the rabbinical courts, Lo tasur min hadavar asher yagidu lecha yamin u'smal. Do not turn away from that which they tell you, neither to the right nor to the left. So there is a teaching in one place in rabbinic literature. It means that make sure that what they're telling you is right, and what make left is left. But the more often quoted teaching is, you have to trust them to such an extent. Afilu omrim lecha al yamin shehu small, va'al small shehu yamin. Even if they tell you right is left and left is right, go with it. You have to believe them. You have to follow them. But this I couldn't understand this. I read this teaching many times. Maybe you believe, maybe you don't, hundreds of times. Well, what does this mean? If it's right, I know this is right, this is left. Everybody knows that. What do you mean they tell me it's right, it's left? So it's in the back of my mind. I'm driving. It should never happen to anyone. I was driving my wife, Blessed Mary, I was driving Henny home from treatment in Sloan Kettering, and we were going back to Brooklyn. It's on, I think, East 63rd Street and 2nd Avenue. We were staying in her mother's house in Brooklyn, and we were taking, I think, the East River Drive or the FDR Drive, right? Okay, so we get to the highway, and I know I've driven hundreds and hundreds of times from Manhattan to Brooklyn, more than hundreds of times. So I was ready to make a right turn, and on the Waze it said turn left. So I'm about to turn right. So Henny said to me, "Why aren't you following the Waze?" I said, "Henny, Brooklyn, going to the tunnel. The tunnel is that way. The left is that way. We're going. They want us to go uptown. We're going downtown." She said, "Mordechai, a little humility, I said, "What do you mean humility? I know how to get to Brooklyn. Everybody knows how to get there." She said, "Just turn left." Okay, I turned left, and it turns out that 2 exits to the right, there was this major traffic. It was some kind of an accident. There should never be accidents again anywhere in any roads. And there was a 45-minute delay if I would have turned right. By turning left, they took me through a side pathway, and I went all around, and I got to Brooklyn in a fraction of the time. And then I understood that when you see things from a certain satellite point of view. I think that's what it means. The sages don't just see things the way you do. You see it like on a certain dimension. Why did it look to be like I should turn right? Because the whole looked wonderful to the right. There was a whole area that was clear. I could surely turn right. I get that. Yeah, you think you're supposed to turn right. Maybe you're supposed to turn left. But it doesn't make sense to turn left. It doesn't make sense because you don't see it from the higher perspective. And perhaps what we're supposed to understand is that there's a certain Torah perspective, which is sometimes understood by the great sages leading us, who see things from a spiritual navigation system. And even if the right seems to be left and the left seems to be right, be careful with what they're teaching.
In terms of technology, it's hard to speak of one specific instrument that is better than others. There's so many amazing advances of technology. I remember as a kid, the first time I saw a tape recorder, that we owned a tape recorder. It was a cassette tape recorder. I remember just using it, taping myself talk, playing it back, and being amazed that it records every single change of tone or every syllable. I remember the first time I got a calculator, received a calculator from my bar mitzvah. I also checked, I couldn't believe you could put in any number, 29 times 57, and boom, immediate answer without working it out. And everything, a camera, a cell phone, lights, internet, everything is amazing. On one hand, technology could be used for bad, could be used for very bad things, and on the other hand, technology could be used for very good things. Of course, some people are against technology, but on the other hand, look, a person's eyes could be used for bad things, and a person's eyes could be used to see good things. No person would say, I should gouge out my eyes, because chas v'chalila. A person has to be in control as much as he can. To this day, I'm still amazed with certain things of technology, how you could talk to somebody in China and hear what he said. So many things are amazing. I think the main thing with technology is I always try to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For if I think people are wise for creating Waze or creating cell phones or creating cameras, I'm sure that if Thomas Edison would be here today, he wouldn't recognize the world. People that lived to George Washington, if he'd see an airplane fly, he would be amazed. And I think the main thing is, as we use technology, we should also every day try to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who the real wisdom is not the people that invent these things, but all of this wisdom really comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if we use technology in a godly way, we'll really enhance our lives.
Technology. There's an interesting opinion in the Zohar, the Tikkun Zohar, that says that one of the ways that Moshiach will reveal himself is through the eyes of the intellect. And some of the later opinions explain it to be through the sciences and leading on to technology, that there's something very profound going on. Hashem Yisborach gave us a world to populate the world, to make this world a beautiful place, to make this world a profoundly beautiful place. And we live a life, there's a little dilemma that's going on. And what that dilemma on one hand is that we have incredibly mature minds. We can make pretty much whatever we want, and it's only getting more and more and more. Man thinks up something in their imagination, and then within a few years, we're creating it. We use our bechira, we're doing the most unbelievable things. What needs to catch up is the heart. That there's an immaturity within our emotional health that needs to catch up. That there's a balance with the technology, that we use the technology in the right way. So what is technology for? One thing and one thing only. Gilui Hashem, Yichud. It's about uniting us. So whereas once upon a time it was very difficult for one person to connect to another person, when I was able to know one of my great-grandmothers, my great-grandparents. So my great-grandmother, I remember when I was a kid, she said, when you said bye-bye to your brother and sister, you never knew if you're going to see them again. That's poshut. You never knew if you were going to see them again. There's always food put to the side in case somebody knocked on your door. You didn't know if someone's going to turn up to your door. There was no communication. There's a lack of yichud. The further we go back, from a sociological perspective, there's a lack of yichud. And if we look together, whereas once upon a time there was a tribe, and then that tribe becomes a city, the city becomes mega cities, everybody is in touch with everybody else. We are, from a technological perspective, connected more than we ever were, which is the structural expression of yichud that we so desperately want in this world. Now, what has to catch up is the emotions. And Chazal say the moon and the sun used to be of the same size. Then the moon fetched to the Rabban Shalom, and Hashem said, fine, we'll make you smaller. So our minds are very defined. We're waiting for the hearts to catch up. And the moment, or as that develops, because really it is developing, there's an enveloping consciousness that's taking over, that hopefully more and more will use technology the way it's meant to be used, and it's going to be, it already is the greatest tool, but it's going to be even more of the greatest tools. And I love technology. It's helped me connect to people all around the world, mamish. Hopefully we retain and we cultivate our deep personal relationships, and I have the ability to keep in touch with people literally all over the world. So technology is a tool that we are the masters of technology. The technology should not be a master of us. Technology is a tool, I believe very firmly, is a simon of Geula. It's a simon of the Yichud. Every day we say, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. The Echad is manifesting in many different ways. The technology is one way that Echad is manifesting.
Amen.
In recent history, the entertainment industry has really focused via books, games, shows, movies on science fiction, whether it is ideas like time travel or outer space, or entire superhero genre, which has become very popular. Could you comment perhaps on why people are so fixated on these kind of outer worlds or foreign concepts? Why is there such a fascination with that in today's generation?
I think that the answer is the question itself. I think that the entire world is aware of a world beyond this world, an existence beyond this existence. I think that almost every human being on earth understands that this is not the total picture. That which they're experiencing in front of them, the inner soul in each person, the nefesh, the neshama, understands that there's it has been explained that the concept of travel, entire sections of newspapers are dedicated every week to traveling. It's the concept of traveling. Where are they traveling? Because everybody knows that this is not it. This is not the whole picture. So maybe it's over there, maybe it's over there, maybe, and I think that's probably the motivation for an understanding of a world that's not here, because we have a deep level of understanding of something beyond, which is a basic teaching in Torah, which is a basic teaching in all of Judaism. And the people that are speaking about different levels of science fiction, different levels of, you said going time machines. I think that the human beings understand the concept. I think we have a time machine in a certain sense. Maybe if you go back in time and you could rectify that what you did yesterday, or that what you did last week, or last month, or last year. The rabbis claim, based on the scriptural basis, that you can undo that what you did. That's an amazing phenomenon, that if somebody did something wrong, they can go through a spiritual time machine and turn that into either a neutral kind of action, a semi-positive action, or a positive deed. The very sin can become a good deed. Teshuvah me'ahava can take zedonot and turn them into the highest level of zechuyot. How do you do that? So I think all these concepts exist in our tradition, and it's different ways of. I don't want to say anything about drugs. I hope that all the people connected to. I'm not talking about medicines now. I mean, there should be no need for medicines in the world either. I hope the whole world should be healthy. For the people that experiment with different kinds of substances, where are they going? They're also going. This is not it. This is not it. It's not the money. I have the money. It's not the fame. I have the fame. It's not the. So what is it? So there's something beyond. So I have to have a different kind of experience. And what they're really longing for, I think, is the soul is longing to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Smack me?
No,
Oh, so it's okay to interrupt first.
Okay, in terms of science fiction, the idea of science fiction, I have nothing against it, but I was always, as a kid, I never understood it. I was never turned on by it. I had friends that would talk about these TV shows, Star Trek, which I could say, Baruch Hashem, I never watched in my life once. And I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just telling you about myself that I...
Did he have some kind of salute with like a Kohen? Was that right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
What was it like? Yeah. So, I once read that Superman was inspired by Moshe Rabbeinu.
Anyway, so I was never attracted to these things, Batman, Superman. Well, I never felt an attraction to it. But I think that also, I think people today are bored to a certain extent, and they feel an attraction to something that, as Rav Machlis spoke about, they have a certain yearning. But the truth is, there are certain things that Chazal said that we shouldn't focus on. We shouldn't look into things that are beyond us. We have permission to investigate into certain things, and there are certain things Chazal spoke about us that not to go too far, certain things that we're just not capable of understanding. In terms of heroes, Batman and Superman and these types of things also, I mean, Baruch Hashem, we have Jewish heroes that I think could teach us a lot more, that we could learn from everything. There's Chachma and the Goyim as well, but sometimes we put a stress too much on other things. Our heroes are, I don't know, I always think about it. It's amazing that you have Jews today that we have non-Jewish heroes, such as you see, I don't know if they do it today. When I was in high school, people would wear basketball shirts, Jews I'm talking about, with names of NBA players. You know what I'm talking about? You'd see a shirt with Johnson or Jackson. You never see a, I don't know how to say it, an Afro-American. You never see an Afro-American wearing a shirt that says Soloveitchik or Schneerson. You never see that. You never see that. How come our heroes are people that are, it's fine, you want to watch a basketball game or you want to watch a TV show, I think that's wonderful. You want to watch it. We have to be careful not to put so much focus. These are the ways of Goyim. They're bored. I understand. This is their life. Baruch Hashem, we have something as great as science fiction is. We have something even better. And all of this idea of fiction and imagining and even reading fiction books, which I'm not against, but also I don't feel an attraction to a story that someone else made up. I can make up my own stories. I don't need to read someone else's story. But I understand that people like it. If it keeps you busy, makes you happy, enjoy it. But just realize all along that we have something even better than that.
I think it's an amazing idea. We should get T-shirts with Schneerson and Soloveitchik, Rav Machlis and Rav Shamai. I think it's good. I think so. If anyone who wants to help me, I'm in for it. I think it's a very interesting space. Science fiction is a very interesting space. On one hand, it draws us away from living a good life. I think, though, if we look, I mean, most of the superheroes, what do? They save people. Superman, Batman, even though Batman's the Dark Knight, he's like a nista. He does things in the quiet. They're saving people. And I think in life we're always looking for dugmat of what we would like to be like. So yes, you speak to so many people and they speak about their powers, whether they're flying around or they're millionaires with all their gadgets and gizmos or whatever it may be. The fact is they're helping and saving people. And I think that, there's a story, the Reb Chaim Sanzer had a very close friend of his, Reb Shlomo. And they would sit together. And for many years they did not see each other. And then they saw each other. Reb Chaim Sanzer already became a very big tzaddik from the perspective of having Hasidim. And Reb Shlomo had the Beis HaMedrash and he was a tzaddik as well. Yet he was not as known as Reb Chaim. So he turns to his friend and he says, look, I don't understand something. We both learned the same Sfarim. We both took the Orchot Tzadikim and we learned the Orchot Tzadikim. How comes you've ended up where you've ended up and I'm, Baruch Hashem, I'm happy, but I'm still here? Reb Chaim Sanzer says something. He says, because you learned the Sefer, I became the Sefer. I became the Sefer. I think science fiction can be very, very helpful. If a person watches today the Superman or the Batman, if a person watches, I think there's one, Heroes of Tomorrow, Justice League, but they become it. Don't just watch it and keep it on the screen. Become a better person. Become your own superhero, and don't let it be that those things that they are doing, it's for them. That's how so many people read books of tzaddikim. So many people read books of tzaddikim, and we have a custom in our family. We learn, it's mamash and avodah. We take books of tzaddikim, we take books of different tzaddikim, and we learn them. We read them, we try to memorize the story, Baruch Hashem, had the Rebbetzin, and we become that. It's not that we just read it and leave the words on the page, and then we close the page. I think there's such a yearning and a wanting from a positive side that people want to be better. People want to be better. They're watching these programs and they've got the sci-fi and it's opening up their mind. I'm talking about the superhero. Sci-fi. People want it. They want to be better. They just have to learn to have the courage to become better. That's on one side. And the other side, I think sci-fi has a place. It has a place. I'm much better. I'm not so good with reading. I've got dyslexia, so I'm not so good with reading. I usually am much better with factual. But the imagination, Rav Kook writes about the imagination, and so many other, Baal Shem Tov, in Teres HaKabbalah, Teres HaChasidus, you've got Harchavas Hadimyon, stretching your imagination and opening up your imagination. And if you think about imagination is one of the strongest game changers within the human race. That we can imagine something, we can use our imagination, and then we can use our creativity and bring out from within the depths of our soul into reality. And that's so powerful. You know, the human being has the ability to take that creative force, and mamash, you can imagine whatever you want, they're creating it. So sci-fi helps express and expand that. Sci-fi gives us more opportunities of what to think about in the future and bring it into reality. So I would say, don't leave sci-fi as sci-fi. The good points of sci-fi, the good points of the superheroes, let's have the courage to make it. Let's have the courage to live it. Mamash, bring it into reality, help people, save people. And like technology, let's globalize this world for the best so it should shine and be bright and glow.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm sorry, but we're out of time, and I definitely don't want to get between Jews and food. You learned that in the rabbinate. But I want to thank Rav Machlis, Rav Shamai, Rav Gerzi for sharing I also want to thank everyone who helped set up. I want to thank Alex Nugrishel for filming. Bezrat Hashem, the next panel will feature Rav Beasley, Rav Hartstein, and upon Rav Boaz's request, myself, and Rav Boaz will moderate. So stay tuned. Bon appetit. Thank you.